Shalom Yashrala, this is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that ruled well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So real quick, I want to jump into this here article, like the scripture saying in Habakkuk chapter 2, that, let me just grab it real quick. Because we're at times now where the prophecies are speaking loud and clear in pretty much real time. This is Habakkuk 2, and read verse 1 and 2 first. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. So the men of the Lord, they went to the scriptures, they started reading through the scriptures and learning and understanding these things or whatever, whatnot, honing in on the prophecies and everything like that, Then we also went out and, we started watching our surroundings and things like that, like looking at the news and everything that's going on around the world and everything, all right? And filtering these things through the scriptures. Verse 2, it says, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it, all right? And that's what we do with these here videos and everything like that. We put them together. We'll bring out a news article or a video or something like that, or just things that's going on in the, the atmosphere, the news or whatever, whatnot, the talk of the town, And we'll go through the scriptures and we'll bring out the prophecies that coincide with these things, all right? And we put it in this video form, just like how you can see on the screen. Everything that I'm reading is right there on your screen, so you can read it and follow along as well. We'll go into articles and things like that. You'll see the article, the source, and you can read along with it as well, too. All right, and it's all put together where you can understand, and it's all broken down for you, all right? Verse 3, it says, for the vision, all right, and the vision is speaking about what? The prophecies, all right? Because a prophecy is going into what? Saying things before they come to pass. In the simplest term, just like the weatherman. Down here in Florida, we have hurricanes, right? Now, the weatherman will say, we got Hurricane Maria, let's just say, out there in the water that's going to make landfall come, let's say today's Monday. It'll say, it's going to make landfall on Friday. And you can expect, X amount of rain, winds around these speeds or whatever, whatnot, So what he's telling you is, and here it is on Monday, that if you walk outside your door on Monday, you're not going to really see no hurricane right then and there. You're like, well, he said it's going to be a hurricane, blah, 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 blah. I'm outside, there's no hurricane. He's like, well, I told you it was forecast to make landfall on Friday. Here it is on Monday, and you looking outside, it's not there yet, because why? It's for an appointed time. I'm giving you the weather forecast, telling you before it comes to pass. All right, and that's what we're doing right now. That's what we were doing. We were telling you about these things before they came to pass. 2019 and before that, we was telling you about all these things that was coming to pass. Then 2020 hit. And then what? You started seeing these prophecies, like it says, the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. That's the time frame that we're in right now. All right, speaking on the mark of the beast, all right, and things like that. We're about to read in this here article how these things are being played out right here before your eyes. So again, like the lesson we're about to go into about, the mark of the beast, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Those things are actually laws are being created right now as we speak, all right, to implement these things. Let me grab another scripture real quick in the book of Daniel, all right, because this is how, or let me grab this first, because this is how all these things are being put in place, all right. Isaiah 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And as you'll see when we read through this here article, they're starting, the open talks, which we've been telling you before. But people looked at us like it was all crazy and conspiracy theorists that, look, man, you're not going to be able to buy or sell, have a job, you know what I'm saying, unless you have this here RFID chip, and, before the whole pandemic and all these things started, I was saying, like, it's going to be more than just you buying and selling. It's more than just like a debit card at the store or whatever, whatnot. It's going to be more of like an authentication token to allow you to enter and exit certain places or whatever, whatnot. Just like how they're talking about on airplanes, you're going to have this here jab to be able to fly on airplanes. All right, you're going to need a jab to be able to go inside the airport. All right, so on and so forth. We're not even mentioning buying the ticket to get on the airplane, just to actually enter the building. All right, to get inside the airport and then actually get on the plane to be able to fly on the plane, and in some hotels are speaking about the same thing, for you to be able to physically check in to that hotel and to physically enter into your room. They're making provisions that you're going to have to be jabbed up and show records of those things. We're not even talking about, the purchasing your, your stay, at the hotel, however much it's going to cost. All right. So as we see, they're creating these new laws for these certain things or whatever, whatnot, using these corporations or whatever, whatnot, to where, they're saying, and not necessarily saying that they're creating a law about these things, but, they're using the corporations to create their own laws and everything like that, that you abide by these things or whatever, whatnot. Just like how, for instance, there's no law in America saying that you have to have an email address, right? But now if you want to use an Apple or Android product, right, you to be able for it to function, you could turn it on and everything like that, but you're not going to be able to use any of the apps or any of the functions unless you sign in with an email address. All right. But then again, there is no federal law mandating that you have an email address, but these corporations make it that, hey, if you want to use our product, you have to have this here email address to be able to log in. Right. So the same way with these here jabs is going to go out. They're going to start making it mandatory, like, hey, if you want to be able to work here or be able to collect your paycheck, because they were doing that with teachers, not making it mandatory for the teachers to be jabbed up to keep their jobs, but it was making it mandatory for them to be able to have to be jabbed up to collect their paychecks. All right. Now, again, and that's just a flipping of the words, because, I mean, you basically saying I can't work unless I got this here jab. They're like, well, no, you can come to work. We're just not going to pay you for it. Now, who's going to go to work and not get paid for their work? But you get the same end result. All right. Let me read verse 2. Let me read 1 and 2 again. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness, which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from the judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless, because that's ultimately what they're trying to do to us, man. Spoil us ultimately. Now, let me go back over to Daniel 8 and 25. Speaking on them putting these things into law and everything like that. Daniel 8 and 25 says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper. Let me see something real quick. All right. So going into this here word policy, it says prudence, insight, understanding, cunning, craft in a bad sense. Going down to the strong definition, intelligence, by implication, success, discretion, knowledge, policy, prudence, sense, understanding, wisdom, and wise. But through his wisdom and his intelligence, like I was just breaking down to you with the Android and the Apple situation, man. They're not forcing you, let's say the end all be all governmental plan was to have everybody have an email address, right? Well, okay, well, we'll raise the price of regular landline phone numbers, make it hard for you to be accessible. When you're not at your house, you may need it for a job here or there, because a lot of jobs require you to have a cell phone, because you may be out in the field or whatever, whatnot. They may need to get in touch with you or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Send you certain files and here and there. So they make it to where jobs can require these certain things or whatever, whatnot. And then all of a sudden, you may need you may need a cell phone for certain things. So again, at this end all be all, the federal government's not mandating that you are forced to have an email address. But if you want to use this Apple or this Android, which is pretty much the only two types of phones you can get, all right, you have to have an email address and sign up to be able to unlock your phone with these things, right? So the end goal is what? Everybody has an email address. Now they can track everybody off these here email addresses, even though it's not mandated by the law, all right, because he's using his wisdom with these certain things. So again, they may not come out and say, hey, it's a federal mandate that every American, has to be jabbed up. But hey, we see them actually doing that right now as far as Biden's first 100 days in office. All right. We also see that with these corporations formulating their own plans. Like I said about the hotels, the air travel. You know what I'm saying? And you just know that they're going to have these and everything else. The dollar store, I think it was going to start paying their employees to take the jab. I think out in D.C. they talking about paying the residents with some weed. They trying to entice Jake with all these things, man. All right. But ultimately, through his wisdom, through his cunningness, all right, through his policies, all right. Let me go back to the scriptures. Daniel 8:25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, and shall be broken without hand. So it says he shall magnify himself in his heart. All right, because at the end all be all, what he's saying is what he's being able to so-called stun out to the people is the fact that that, oh, I'm causing this pandemic to die down. I'm bringing everybody to safety and health and prolonging their lives and making, bringing your jobs back, bringing the economy back, and so on and so forth. That's what the people think in the sight of this here guy or whatever, whatnot, but ultimately he's bringing people into destruction. All right. But nevertheless, this is how he's going to start bringing death and destruction through people. When they say peace and safety, then shall come sudden destruction. All right. Because right now, problem, reaction, solution. They created the problem, the pandemic, the reaction to the people, with the lockdowns and everything like that. They got the pandemic forcing the lockdowns, everybody losing jobs, can't pay rent, mortgages. All right. The reaction is the people are mad and they're ready to get back to work. They need some help. Okay, now the solution. First we got the mask. The mask ain't good enough. Now we got the jabs. Jabs can't be tracked. All right. And now we're going to come out with the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. All right. So this is how he's trying to get things going. But now let me get into this here article a little bit. All right. It says personal social distance alarm and no jab, no job show that individual freedoms at work will be the next victims of the pandemic. As employers lose faith in government's attempts to deal with the pandemic, they are increasingly coming up with their own bizarre solutions to make morally dubious demands of workers and ignore basic human liberties. So like I brought out beforehand, the federal government, to save the backlash of the federal government getting looked at all sideways and everybody so-called uprising against the federal government, all they got to do, because you don't realize that they're in bed with these people anyway, like the Facebooks and the Googles, they're actually ran and owned by the government. Look up NQTEL. All right, NQTEL is what is it? An FBI? I think it's an FBI organization. It might be CIA, but I think it's the FBI's organization where they use this thing called NQTEL to create these fake ass companies to be shell companies so they can do their little biddings, whether it be spying, buying stuff and selling stuff or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like if you understand the story of Freeway Ricky Ross, how the damn U.S. government was creating cocaine and bringing cocaine in, giving it to him. He was selling it out to the people, destroying the neighborhoods and getting the money back so they could use that dirty money to go and buy basically guns and fund a war over, I believe, in Nicaragua, and not have the paper trail come back to them. All right, so they use these proxies to be able to do certain things. And in this state, you have these corporations being their proxies. So listen, it says, the problem, reaction, solution, right? Hegelian dialectic. As employers lose faith in governments, all right, the problem is, you know what I'm saying? You got the pandemic, the lockdowns, and companies keep shutting down. They trying to wait for the government to come out with a plan, but the government seems so chaotic and confused. They don't know what the hell to do. All right, that's the reaction is, look, man, we can't wait, too long for the wait on the government to move. We got to move on our own. So what's the solution? We need to come up with our own plans. We're going to require everybody at the job site get jabbed up so we can stay open. We don't have to wait for the government, right? Problem, reaction, solution. It says, as employers lose faith in government's attempts to deal with the pandemic, they're increasingly coming up with their own bizarre solution to make morally dubious demands of workers and ignore basic human liberties. Across Europe, the pandemic lockdown screws continue to tighten, but that is not enough for some power-crazed bosses scared out of their wits by this damn bug deciding to take matters into his own hand, no matter how much they trample over the liberties of others. French employees of Etsy, a maker of hand soaps, tissues, and other sanitary products for the global market, have been asked to carry a device that sounds an alarm if they breach social distancing rules in the workplace. I believe Amazon is the same way too. And ultimately what these companies are doing is testing out the new technologies and the AI and so on and so forth to be used in a mass scale. All right, they use these again, like Walmart is one of these NQTEL companies, right? The reason that they have Walmart is a big ass project in a testing thing, because what it really is the logistics for the military equipment. All right, the Walmart's logistics system, how they can sit there and order things from around the world at the drop of a dime. When things move off the shelf, places an order, it puts it on a truck, and then that truck is en route, and the shelves are never really empty inside of Walmart, right? They can get it in the backdrop or whatever, whatnot, on their own shipping and everything like that. All right, that whole system was created to be basically a testing tool for moving military equipment, the logistics of it all. So that's why they have their corporation like that. Your video game, the modern day video game, Grand Theft Auto 5, right? One of the reasons they used and developed that game was for the AI and the technology that the pedestrians and the cars driving around, to help develop the self-driving cars, all right, and the reactions to those things. Your games like Call of Duty and things like that. Why do they create those games? All right, to find out who's going to be the best drone pilots from back in the olden days, when they was coming out with the drone program. So a lot of these things you think, or Facebook and Instagram, all right, it's basically the FBI being able to look into your whole life and everything. They just put these covers on there for so on and so forth. So you think it's something completely different. Same thing going on here with these here jabs, man. All right. It says the noise emitted by the alarm is a shrieking 85 decibels, like having a power lawnmower started up next to you. But employees at the Swedish-owned firm have been assured by bosses that the devices are for their own protections. Liberté à galette, what's that damn noise? All right. Let me read the quote of this here article. It says, take the jab or lose your job. Medical journal calls for mandatory jabs says non-compliance should incur a penalty, right? So this is where we're headed to. You know, you're not going to be able to buy or sell, save you have this here mark of the beast. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, all right? It's hard to fathom how the measures bear up against expert advice about noise in the workplace. Researchers have found that exposure over time to noise at 85 decibels or higher. Let's not read that. Or is that other? It's another paragraph. Okay, here we go. It says legal experts looking at this proposal to include a mandatory jab clause to its staff contracts suggest it could well lead to claims of discrimination or unfair dismissal under existing legislation, but no one yet knows as is have not been tried elsewhere. Most likely because it's overstepping the mark morally, if not legally, by good distance. Mandatory jabs by government decree are one thing, but mandatory jabs by plumbing boss decree is quite something else. I fear this chap has gone round the U-bend. But ultimately, like I said, man, you know, this is the question inside people's heads. You know, oh, the government can't force us to do this, and the government can't force us to do that. Just like, for instance, the government can't force you to wear a damn shirt. You know, well, especially for guys. You know what I'm saying? You can get an indecent exposure if you're a female or whatever, whatnot. But the government don't have no federal mandate that men must wear shirts out. You know, you just outside, you must wear a shirt. However, you have a lot of stores, damn near every store, to say no shirt, no shoes, no service. You know what I'm saying? And each store can be like, you know what? We're going to require that you wear a shirt inside this here store, you know? Even though there's not a federal law, they're like, well, you can't enforce this. It's not against the law for me not to wear a shirt. Like, well, if you want to come inside the store, you're going to have a shirt on, you know? It says, until we had the sight of life returning to anywhere near normal, or at least a path out of lockdown that we can actually make sense of, then loony ideas will continue to come thick and fast. Gird your loins, grit your teeth. There's no end for them in sight yet, because ultimately this is the plan. They're just trying to run you into this here scenario. Now let's just jump back into some more scriptures real quick, just showing you how all these things are shaping up. All right, so we already read about how the prophecies are speaking. They out here in real time. We have the wicked decrees, unrighteous decrees that they're decreeing. All right, and his policies is helping his craft to prosper, helping his agenda to move forward. All right, and all these different moves that he's making. Let me grab this real quick. All right, so Revelation 13 and 16, it says he calls all both small and great. He causes all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, right now we're pretty much at this here state now. When you go inside the stores with or without a mask, you know, they say you can't come inside the store without a mask nowadays, right? Now, again, they're going to start furthering these things to just more than just you buying and selling. Like I said, you know, let's say somebody bought you an airline ticket to go somewhere, right? And let's say they had, you know, the requirements to buy the ticket. However, for you to get inside the airport and for you to actually board on the plane, you got to be jabbed up as well to improve those things, right? So it's going to be more than just this here buying and selling. They're going to make it basically to where it's going to be mandatory for everybody to have it for you to be able to function in society. Just like how on your damn cell phone, like I was explaining, in order for you to open up and use pretty much any of the apps on your phone, you need a damn email address to be able to open up the app store and then to be able to log into these damn apps and everything like that. You can't just go to the store, buy a phone, and turn the bad boy on and just start going on. You know, no, you got to have an email address to be able to get all these things, man. All right, but then nowhere on the box they're saying, yo, it's mandatory, you got to have an email address. All right, they're like, yo, well, it ain't mandatory, but if you want to use these functions, you're going to have one of these situations, right? Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let he that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 636. And we've gone into, you know, the word stigma, gone into the word charagma, all right, about a thing that is etched and printed, cut into the skin, all right, by use of a palisade or a stake, like a syringe, all right. This is Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, all right, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And when you go into this word temptation, it's going into enticing. enticing you to sin to go off. All right. But nevertheless, the key point here says, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try to that dwell upon the earth. Pairing that to what we just read in Revelation 13 about causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. This here agenda, whatever it is, whatever the mark of the beast is, this agenda is going to affect the entire planet Earth, right? So now the vision is speaking loud and clear at the end right now, right? What is one thing that they're making mandatory? What is one thing now that's affecting the whole entire planet Earth? The pandemics, the lockdowns, right? And what does everybody want? The reaction to that is everybody want out of that. They want to get back to normal. So what's the solution? All right, well, first we're going to start with everybody getting the mask to try to curb and stop the spread of this bad boy. Then we're going to get a jab to make sure nobody else gets sick. Then we're going to get this here chip to make sure we can track everybody and keep them up to their annual doses or whatever, whatnot, you know? This is the plan that they're selling off to the people. All right, this is going to be the hour of temptation that's coming to try the whole earth, man. You're not going to be able to buy or sell, get a job, travel, go anywhere, collect any kind of monies or anything like that unless you have this here mark of the beast. All right. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and close out with that. But nevertheless, I just wanted to make the point about how, these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. This is one of those types of moments to where it's like, yo, you got to put your pride to the side, man. All right, forget about how you feel about us. Listen to the things we've been telling you about, and now turn on the news and look at these articles and see, are the things we talking about actually coming to pass right before your eyes? Is the world shaping up like these things, man? Turn us off and cut us out the picture. Are you still hearing the same words being echoed from your newscasters, your jobs, and everybody else like that? Hey, you're gonna have to have this here mask on to be able to come to work. Hey, you're gonna have to have this here jab before you want to come back to work. Hey, you're gonna need this here chip before you want to come back to work or take your kids to school or whatever, whatnot. So hey, we've been already telling you, warning you about these things before they came to pass, but now they're all coming to pass, and the prophecy speaking loud and clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.